Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
I'm Evan Closky.
Back again. And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Well, boys, we did it. We reached the All-Star break. Didn't think it was going to happen, but it happened. And the Rays are honestly in a better spot than maybe we thought they would be a couple weeks ago. So nice little breather for everybody. We get it, home run derby, All-Star game action, MLB draft. We can just kind of soak up these next couple days.
Yeah, we get to see Pete Alonso do some work.
Your boy, the polar bear.
That's right. We all need to come together and represent Tampa in that one. This isn't a Mets thing. This is a Tampa thing. But if you'd like to root for the Mets as your National League team, then I would support that as well.
Exactly.
Is he going to win his third straight?
I'll just say no because the odds are stacked against him. No one's ever done that before. Only Ken Griffey Jr. has ever won 3, period. So, and he's got Acuna in his first matchup, which is a tough draw because obviously he missed like a portion of the season with how the home runs layered out. So I'll say no, but
okay.
Just that's only because the value is in picking 7 guys versus the 1. I don't even think he's the odds-on favorite. I think Schwarber is.
Well, last I checked, I mean, I guess it depends where you're looking at. If you're looking at BetOnline compared to CBS Sports or whatever, but I think it's Pete Alonso, then Kyle Schwarber, but some other outlets might have it switched.
Okay.
I'm going for your boy Pete, man, or for our boy, our Tampa. I think he's going to do it. I think he was psyched. He was psyched enough. Well, first of all, he wanted people to vote for him as a starting guy, and then he would go into the home run derby. He did that whole thing, and then he didn't get the starting nod, which, you know, of course, when you're going against Paul Goldschmidt in the season that he's having, it might be a little bit difficult, but he's still in it. I think this guy just wants it. He really cherishes it. He loves the atmosphere. He loves kind of showing off. It's BP, you know, it's fun BP. So I think he's going for it. I think he has it in the bag. I do understand.
In the bag.
I think so. I think Acuna, look, he's my boy, but he already smoked him a couple of years ago, didn't he? I think in Pete's first, they went head to head. Acuna gave him a run for his money, but at the end, Pete won. I think this is gonna go Pete's way. The other people, I think there are not going to be that many surprises. The only thing I see that could be surprising would be, I think Jose Ramirez is gonna go over Soto. I think Jose is going to go over Juan.
Odds are so low.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm going for one round always has a shocker. Like a Matt Olson doesn't hit home runs. You know, one round always has a shocker. I think the shocker will be Ramirez will go over Soto.
So nobody has Albert Pujols to win the whole thing,
unless they do some tomfoolery and mess around.
Juice the bats and the balls and move the fences in.
Yes, I don't know, but there's no way he's going to be able to swing the bat for 3 rounds to win it. Like maybe
Schwarber too. He's got Schwarber first. Like it's maybe if he would have gotten Rodriguez, then I could have been like, okay, he could.
Julio, I think is going to be. That's one of my sleepers. I love Julio. He's a young kid, and he's gonna. You know, it's a big stage. He's going to be trying his hardest. And in these competitions, those who usually want to win and go for it usually have a good chance. And I will say he's either going to make it to the finals or he's going to crash and burn and get like 3 home runs because he's just over eager. But he's we don't talk enough about Julio Rodriguez as a star in this game. I mean, if this was, Mike Trout back in the day, we would have been singing a different tune. But this kid is something special. He's just 21 21 old?
Yeah, it's the West Coast curse, man.
That's it. That's what I was going to say. If he was
late.
playing on the East Coast, it'd be a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still can't believe you guys aren't giving more love to Albert Pujols. He ranks 180th in home runs this year in MLB. What are you guys doing? What's the issue here?
Schwarber, baby. It's Schwarber.
And I'm okay with him being in the all.
Oh, no, you're not going there. Please don't.
I'm okay with it. I mean, who cares about it's different. Like, this is a different scenario than when we're talking about like starting Kershaw in the All-Star game. It's like that's bull. All right.
Yes.
Like, that is an honor you're supposed to earn based on the first half of your season. But the home run derby is just for shits and gigs. I mean, let's excuse my language, but that really is it. And I guarantee you, one of the defining moments of the All-Star game weekend and what's going on is going to be Albert Pujols stepping up to the plate, the ovation, the moment, and that is going to be something that kind of lives on forever and something we all harken back on in 10, 15 years when we talk about Pujols' last All-Star game. It's going to be a really good moment, and I'm okay putting that in a skills competition versus, again, trying to give a Lifetime Achievement Award to Clayton Kershaw because it's in Dodger Stadium. Like, if we're going to just start, capitulating to the home team's stadium, then next year I want Felix Hernandez to come out of retirement and start the All-Star game for the AL. I mean, where do you draw the line? So that's my
question.
Switch.
I love it. I love that take, Evan.
Isn't there money at stake for this home run derby? If you win it, you get $1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think, shouldn't there be a rookie or some guy that is pre-arb eligible that would love this chance and opportunity to catch the bag, if you will? I don't think Albert Pujols needs the cash.
I mean, I don't think it's about the cash, though.
I would have rather, I don't know how you make it work, but I would have rather had 8 guys that are deserving of this opportunity and then throw in Albert Pujols and Miggy Cabrera to make it an even 10. Could they not have done that?
Who would you have wanted as that 8th spot? I mean, Stanton turned it down after originally saying that he
Byron Buxton, maybe.
Buxton would have been great.
But guys, don't sign up for this, man.
Who knows if
you're thinking
like Judge turned it down.
Jordan Alvarez.
He's hurt.
I mean,
again, you're pretending that the home run derby, 1, matters a lot, and number 2, that all of these players are just going crazy because they're not being asked to play. Like, most players that have pop, they say no. They don't like. They're not. I'm not gonna mess up my swing. I'm not touching that. Like, for God's sakes, we have Corey Seager as the last member. I don't think
he has 22 homers.
Players. Yeah, but again,
and it's Dodger Stadium. I think he's going to win the whole thing, actually.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because he's familiar with that ballpark, is he not?
Well, I will say, going back to the Pete Alonso thing, look at his splits at Dodger Stadium. It's really crazy. He crushes that ballpark. I don't know why. But yeah, I would imagine that Jordan and Buxton were asked. Obviously Judge were asked before guys like Jose and Julio, and they get down. They get a little bit further down the home run list, and then they finally start getting some yeses. But I have no issues with Pujols being a part of a skills competition sort of deal. It just don't mess with the integrity of the honors that come with starting the game or being named the starting pitcher. When you start trying to create storylines off of that, then I'm going to call BS, yes. Because I swear if I don't see Sandy and Shane starting this game, we riot.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Isak Paredes just texted me and said he would have loved to have been part of the home run derby.
Yeah.
There you go.
I bet.
More than twice as many home runs as Albert Pujols. But I get what you're saying. Hey, my pick is Corey Seager. Corey Seager or one of the young players. I guess Julio Rodriguez could use that extra mil. There's motivation there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. All right. We'll move along here. Make your moment sparkle. with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what is inside. So shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. All right, Evan, you alluded to it. I guess you've drawn a line in the sand. You want to see Sandy versus Shane starting in the All-Star game.
Yep. State of Florida, out in LA. Let's ride. I mean, like, come on. There is nobody. There's nobody who can argue against it. And I'm sure people are going to say, like, Tony Gonsolin, who obviously is a Dodgers pitcher, very worthy, but his innings don't even compare to what Sandy has done. His strikeouts don't compare. I think his ERA just blew up from his last start before the break. So now he's not even in the ballpark of what that looks like. And, you know, if you're going to fall in love with the wins, then, you know, let's go back to 1980s where we valued that statistic. So, or I should say 2005. I mean, it hasn't been that long since we've been all about wins. And obviously the pitchers care. It just doesn't mean much to us.
Question:
talent anymore.
If Justin Verlander hadn't pitched so late this week or weekend, would you have given him any more consideration? Or it's Shane versus Sandy, that's it?
My thing is with Verlander is that the reason for him to start is more of his backstory, right? I mean, he has a phenomenal story. He is 38 years old.
And he's having a phenomenal year as well. Like
a Cy Young caliber season, not that he's number one in that race right now, but he is certainly top 3 in that race in the American League, coming off of Tommy John at his age. It is a remarkable story, and I'm sure all the writers would love to tell that story in the lead up to the All-Star game because that makes for an easy day for them. But the fact of the matter is that Shane McClanahan, we can rattle off a million different stats. I mean, I posted on my Twitter what the Rays PR department gave us as far as some statistics, and it's laughable. I'm going to skim read very quickly this blurb, and it would take me too long to do the whole thing. His 1.71 ERA is the lowest ERA by a qualified starting pitcher before the All-Star break in club history, and the lowest by an AL starter since Clay Buchholz in 2013. His 147 strikeouts are tied with Chris Archer in 2015-27 for the second most in Rays history before the break, trailing David Price. Became the Rays' first 10-game winner before the break since Charlie Morton, and 10 wins this season matches total from 25 starts last season. Only 4 other pitchers in Major League history have entered the All-Star break with at least 10 wins, 147 strikeouts, and a 1.71 ERA or lower. Dwight Gooden, Vida Blue, and Louis Tiant and Sandy Koufax. All 3 of them started the All-Star game. Gooden did not because he pitched on the Sunday before. Blue and Koufax all went on to win the Cy Young Award, and so on and so forth. There's a Pedro Martinez stat in there. There's also some stats I can give you where Shane's the only pitcher ever in MLB history to kind of do it on his own. Like, no matter which way you cut it, I don't care. Like, what it is just in the fine print. There is no one better in baseball right now pitching in the American League than Shane McClanahan. And in my eyes, it's not even close.
In my eyes, to start the All-Star game, you have to be the guy that you know what you're going to get when you give him the ball. That's exactly what Shane McClanahan has done in the last 12 starts. You look at his numbers, it's either 6-7 innings of 1 or 2 earned runs and 4 hits or less. Yep. He is and with double-digit strikeouts. He is just so dominant, but you can be really dominant and be shaky. When I think about Rays pitchers in the past that have, kind of fit that category of dominant but shaky, Matt Garza comes to mind. The guy could pitch. Well, he's actually the only no-hitter thrown by a Rays pitcher, but he was shaky. Shane McClanahan is dominant and stable. You know what you're going to get in and day out. I think that's basically one of the requirements, if not the most important requirement, when you're going to start the All-Star game, saying, we know what you can do. Here's the ball. And I agree with you. Every stat, every category that you look at, he beats the competition.
Who would you rather have on your team for the next 5 years? Sandy Alcantara or Shane McClanahan?
I mean, how old is Sandy at this point?
He's 26 and 311 days. So he's, I guess, a little more than a year older than Shane Mack.
People are going to get upset about this answer, but it's Sandy.
I mean,
you know why?
Why?
I mean,
Because he's a righty in injury history?
No, I would go because
I was going to go lefty. I was going to give the nod to Shane there, just only because he's a lefty.
I'm talking financials. He already had you already know what you're going to pay him in the next 5 years. He literally that's exactly what it is, 5-year deal. So honestly, financial, like you put both talents, but then you also, we live in a real world. If this is not MLB The Show, the money matters. Sandy, you already know what you're going to have to pay him in 2028. Shane, you don't, but it's going to be big.
Finances aside, who do you think will put up better numbers over the next 5 years? We fast forwarded, or it's just going to be so minimal that
I don't know. It's literally going to come down to injury history, I think, and which is unpredictable. But I think that if all things stay the same and everybody's healthy and doing all that stuff, I don't think that there would be a true difference in what you're getting. I think, when we started the season, you asked, is Shane McClanahan ace? And I think we all wanted a larger sample size, and we were all a little bit skeptical to say that in year 2 of his career. But, I mean, unequivocally, the guy has proven he's an ace, and Sandy's the same thing. So, both teams, I think when you look at down the line, the bigger question is, in 5 years, will both of these guys be on their current teams that they're on right now?
Yeah. And if Sandy does live out that contract and then stays with the Marlins and is not getting traded, he would have the edge over Shane on the competition that he faces. I think Shane would do way better in the NL East than in the AL East. Right. That's a way more competitive and more scary ballparks, more scary lineups that Shane has to face. So if you wanted to look at numbers and not financials, you'd have to give Sandy the edge because of the competition and in that division.
I mean, right. I mean, you've got multiple average or subpar teams in the NL East where everybody's fighting in the AL East right now.
Yeah.
It's a dogfight for sure.
And I think, Sandy's contract, by the way, is he's got 5 years at $56 million. Like that's
so affordable.
Is that arguably the best contract in baseball right now?
Yeah. Maybe tied with Brandon Lau.
But
Brandon Lau's up there as long as he's healthy. But
people still keep wanting to throw Brandon Lau in trade deals for some reason. Rays fans do. I don't get it at all. But
I understand it if you ignore if you ignore his contract, but when you factor in his contract, I don't care if the guy hits 200. Like he is affordable for what he provides you on the field, and he gives you more than what you are paying for, as long as he's on the field. That is.
Quite frankly, if he doesn't do anything else, like if he retired today or tomorrow, he would have still probably outlived that contract financially, just based on the numbers that he's put up as far as the WAR compiled. And so forth. So,
and I'm wondering if this back issue is maybe going to allow him to get more base hits now. Maybe he's not going to be swinging as heavily for the fences, and just going back to his Durham rehab games, what we saw in his first start too, just a lot more doubles, singles than I'm used to seeing from Brandon. So I'm wondering if he's kind of maybe as the season progresses, he'll get more comfortable doing it. But that's a little signal. Let's see where he's at. Let's see how many home runs he's hitting, and let's see if average is going to go up and home runs are going to go down.
Well,
I'm sure
this theory, I would love to put some green Skittles in, Evan, and I think we should definitely do that at betonline.net, which is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. Find all of the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's Major League Baseball chase to the playoffs. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Evan, I can admit this. Ulises and I had a disagreement about this last week. The selection of Albert Pujols and Miggy Cabrera to the All-Star game as, quote, legacy picks. Where do you stand on this?
I'm totally fine with it. Again, the All-Star game is for the fans. As long as you're not taking advantage of these legacy picks, right? Like, we think that the end of the road is coming for Cabrera and Pujols.
Right.
So if this is their swan song, I think those players who were stewards of the game, who obviously are Hall of Famers, it's just a way to kind of give them a congratulations, a thank you from the league, because, I mean, they at some point during their career were the it guy for this sport and dominated at a certain level. I mean, peak Pujols, peak Miggy, and, Miggy, well, we're only a few seasons out from when he had like the Triple Crown, right? I mean, like it's pretty crazy how quickly he kind of fell off there. I mean, Pujols, I don't even know how this man legs out a double. How he doesn't. I figure that his bat actually transitions into a cane at some point. But yeah, I'm totally cool with it as long as you're not taking away spots from people who deserve it, which I don't think these legacy spots are. They're adding 1 and 1 versus taking away one spot from somebody who's supposed to get into the game. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, again, sometimes you need the theatrics of it.
Right.
And those moments, as I said, are going to be the ones that live on forever versus, I don't know, Whit Merrifield coming up to bat. And
yeah. Don't we still talk about the Cal Ripken All-Star in 01?
Ripken, Jeter, I mean, just all the All-Star games we continuously go back to talk about the moments and the ovations and everything. And it also it gets people to go to those games, and it drives up the fanfare. It drives up the headlines. It's what the sport needs to do because, to be quite honest, PR is not their forte.
So, okay, very, very astute points there. Would you have an issue if Pujols and Cabrera entered the All-Star game as starters following these legacy picks?
Probably not. Because here's my thing. I wouldn't love it. I think that if you wanted to put them as DHs, that'd be my compromise. But I don't care when you put them in. Like, you can put them in the start, you can put them in the 5th inning, whatever. No matter what, they're going to get one at bat and they're going to be done. So it doesn't matter what inning you put them in. And it's not like the players get paid more to be an All-Star game starter. So for them, I mean, I'm sure they would love the honor, but I think even if I was someone who was prepared to start that game and they're like, hey, you're not going to start, we're giving it to Pujols, am I going to be like upset about that? No. I'd be, hell yeah. I was like, okay, if he's going to take my starting spot, then I want to sign that and I want to take a picture with him out there. I mean,
so
that's all I want.
All of these guys are so happy
Yeah.
to share a locker room with Miggy and Albert. Like, they're all-stars themselves, but they can't believe, they're giddy that the guys that they rooted for, that they have their own jerseys of Cabrera and Pujols, they get to share a locker room with them because of this legacy pick. I think the all-stars just are digging the fact that they get to talk to a legend themselves in the clubhouse. I think this is great.
So, okay, so you would technically be okay with Pujols and Cabrera starting the game, but starting pitchers, is that where you draw the line?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I draw
Opposed
the line.
to, okay, we're going to have Kershaw and Verlander, or Kershaw and Ohtani versus Sandy and Shane. I'm just trying. I just can't.
Yeah, no, that's.
I can't find the difference there.
For me, the difference is when they do a press conference, do they bring up the entire starting lineup? Do they bring up all 9, or do they have the manager and they have the starting pitcher?
I got to be honest. I don't think I've ever paid attention to a All-Star game press conference ever.
This is, I guess, me on the media side of things. But what happens is when they lead up to the game, it is the manager and it is the starting pitcher who lead into the press conference. Those two are, get to kind of have the spotlight, and we talk about the starting pitching matchups. And as I said, I am not 1,000% for them taking a starting hitter spot. I wouldn't love that move. In my eyes, it's actually better to bring them in at the beginning of a random inning than with 2 outs, call them out, and then have them get the ovation and do all that. Or you can start them, have them getting out, and then do the whole pomp and circumstance. And then you put in the real starter for the game, and then they're done. All that stuff.
Like the starting pitchers are only pitching an inning or 2. It's not like they're going 6 or 7.
Well, usually the starting pitcher does have a chance to go 2, and that makes the difference between the rest of the team coming into it and everybody else. But as my thing is, you bring in Miggy, you bring in Pujols as legacy picks. My idea is they're not actual all-stars, so don't treat them like all-stars. Don't give them an inning. Don't give, if you want to give them an at-bat, that's okay. But make sure that there's a moment where the fans can recognize them and they can go off the field. I think
it's going to be pinch hitting situations, to be quite frank.
Whatever,
that's what it's going to be.
Have your moment, take an at-bat, and then you're done. So, for me, I don't think starting is necessarily the stage that even makes sense. I would be more so confused about what the decision would be if they started them and then played them an inning, and then that was it, and then brought them back. It's just a waste. That's not the moment that everyone's looking for. So if you're going to bring them in as part of this PR move, I'm all for that. But then continue the PR move on the All-Star game and create a stage to where you can create a moment. And in the starting positional spot, you're sharing the moment with 8 other people. So that, to me, that doesn't even make sense.
It's not going to happen. And I think honestly themselves, at least in Pujols' side, with the numbers that he has, he would literally just be, come on, Snitker, dude, don't put me as a starter. And he's not going to be.
And this isn't even apples to apples. It would be interesting if we thought that Verlander was retiring next year, and I was like, then I might have a different opinion. But Verlander's not, to our knowledge, retiring next year. He still has that stuff. Kershaw isn't retiring next year. These people aren't done for their career. You're just trying to create a moment, which is where I have the problem versus 2 guys who are stewards of the game, who are on their last legs, who are probably done after the season, and you're throwing them into a situation to create a moment. That's my difference is the manufacturing of a moment for players who are not done versus manufacturing a moment for players who are very clearly done.
Now, the All-Star game doesn't determine home field advantage in the World Series, correct?
Correct. I think they took that away, yes.
Okay. I was going to say, because if it did, then you might have a legit argument to, hey, Justin Verlander, he's not going to be available, but you say this guy has so many All-Star game reps, and he's been around the bright lights and being on national television. That won't disrupt him compared to maybe a younger player making his first shot like Shane McClanahan. Then you might, if you're a manager, have a legitimate case to be made for making that decision versus the other.
Maybe, but this is a guy who made his debut in the ALDS, who's already pitching the World Series too.
Yeah, so and then garnered the nickname Meatball McClanahan.
Well, again, you can have some progression. Can we look at Justin Verlander's, 2007 season? It wasn't pretty.
Look at Max Scherzer when he started out his career.
Dude could put it wherever he wanted. Yeah.
Hey, at least to wrap a bow on this, at least Miggy and Pujols, they're going to show up to the thing and participate. That's better than a lot of other guys out there that say, hey, I don't want to be bothered by this. I want my time off. So good for them on that note. Other thing is, considering this may be the end of the road for Kevin Kiermeier has to be one of the guys out there with the highest career WAR that has never made an All-Star appearance, right?
That would be a cool thing to
I gotta take a look at that. That's a good point.
Yeah. He's got 32 B WAR.
Probably
actually
think that's
did. I did some.
likes him even more.
I did some rough. Again, I'm sure there's somebody else that can. We got to get intern McGee on the case, but Eric Chavez, for example, John Valentin, Tim Salmon, Kirk Gibson. Those are just a couple of the others. But after that, I mean, Kiermeier's got to be top 10, I would imagine, at least position players.
That's crazy. Yeah, I never really thought about that before,
Yeah.
just because he's such a no shade to KK, a one-trick pony.
Exactly.
Glove first, yeah, for sure.
One-trick pony. So but that's what happens when you are so valuable defensively, and everybody wants to see offensive stats to give you the nod.
Yeah, sometimes I bring a little something to the table. So if you have a chance to research that career WAR, highest career award, never to have made an All-Star game appearance, look that up. Check it out. All right. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. We also will have Mr. Closky for another episode, Tuesday's episode. So
my screen will be
lock in. Enjoy that. Talk to you soon.